can't work at Aldi stocking shelves and everything. It's not me. Yeah. I'll end up punching the manager, you know?
Or a customer.
Yeah, or a customer, yeah.
It's the Germany Experience, the podcast about life in Germany as seen through the eyes of outsiders. I'm your host, Sean. Visit the website, thegermanyexperience.de. Now, as you know, the Germany Experience is supposed to be a weekly podcast, but the truth is I do this in my spare time because I'm a hobby podcaster at the end of the day. This is not my job. I'd love this to be my job, but it's not my job. And there's a lot going on at the moment. And so what I need to do is I need to switch to a fortnightly schedule. And that means that from now on, episodes will come out every second week, just to give me a bit more preparation time to get the episodes ready. So episodes will be coming out every 2 weeks. My guest in this episode is someone named Del, who is the founder of Misfit Models. Now, Misfit Models is a modeling agency that specializes in everything but the normal look, if you want to put it that way. As they put it on their website, Misfit Models is where the word inclusion is not just a hashtag or a fashion statement. Now, Del is from the UK, where he worked as a model for an agency called Ugly Models because of his unique looks. And when he moved to Germany, he decided he wanted to continue doing that kind of work, and so he started Misfit Models. Del is a very interesting guest, and his story is fascinating. He tells us why he came to Germany. We also get into his battles with German bureaucracy when he started Misfit Models. We talk about how he feels the current mainstream focus on diversity is just another trend, and we also get into how Brexit has impacted his life. Here is Del of Misfit Models. Del, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, welcome to my world. Why don't you come on in and all that shizer?
I'm very excited to have you on as a guest. You've got a very interesting story, and you are living in Germany. But before we get into all of the story and the details, first of all, maybe give me your background.
Well, my name is Del, or Del Keens is my full name. I come from South London. In South London, a place called Peckham. Grew up on a council estate where basically after you're 11 plus, they mark you down as perhaps just as a no-hoper. And that's basically how I was labelled when I was at school. So with that, I rebelled and became myself and didn't like authority and left school with nothing. And, well, barely went to school. So how did I leave school? I don't know. But left school with nothing and became a car mechanic. Smashed myself up in a motorcycle crash when I was 19. Then became a courier. But then I was stopped on the street by this guy called David Sims, who basically wanted to take my picture. And I said to him, well, if you want to take my picture, well, I have two requests. He said, what's that? I said, well, one, can I keep my clothes on? And two, will you pay me? And basically it snowballed from there and I became a model.
Okay. So that must have been a sort of a curveball for you or a surprise of things that you weren't expecting to happen to you.
No, becoming a model, I never thought I'd be on TV with my natural good looks because this guy chose me, Dave. And yeah, it became a great photo shoot. And then I said to him, oh, I like this. And it pays good because this job led on to jobs like in Le Women Vogue and a few other fashion magazines. I can't bloody remember now. But he gave me a job with Levi's and I did a Calvin Klein campaign with him in New York, flew us out to New York, did a job there, met Mr. Klein himself, which was pretty interesting. And yeah, then it just snowballed and I said to him, how can I get more work? He told me that, well, if you want to do fashion, it's not going to last long for you and you're better off doing commercial work. So he told me to go to this agency in London called Ugly Models. Now, this was before the internet was invented, so you had to call them and say to them, hey, I want to join. And they just gave the standard answer, oh, come back in 6 months' time when we have an open day for people to come and join. Now, I couldn't wait for that. Now, remember, I was a courier at the time. Basically, back then in London, you could press a doorbell, say courier, and you could get into any building. So that's what I did. And I went up there, slammed my portfolio on the desk and said, I'll be back in a week to pick that up. Went back about a week later, and basically the owner stopped me and said, yes, we want you, we need you. And then that snowballed there, and I started getting jobs on various music videos and commercials around Europe and things, and doing TV interviews. But we're talking over a career now of maybe around 30 years.
Amazing. So this was all in the UK before you moved to Germany. At what point did you make the change for Germany, and why?
Well, basically, I came to Germany because I met a girl and thought it was a great idea at the time.
Right.
And I thought, I'll move to Germany with this girl, Natalie, at the time, and all will be great. Everything's great. So I came to Germany with the pretense of learning German within a year and getting a job. And I retrained as a carpenter at the time,
Right.
Gave up being a car mechanic, and hoped that I could get work here. But I found that when I came to Germany, German's a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And I'm just not good at learning language. Maybe it goes back to, when I was younger, not listening at school and not doing the schoolwork and bunking off school all the time.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't understand English. I just talk it. Grammatics of English, what's that? And then it comes to German, and it's double hard, isn't it? So, I'm not understood. I've tried to learn German for around 4 years, integration class in Kreuzberg because I first went to Berlin, and it didn't work. It didn't stay in my head. I think maybe I've got an attention deficit disorder, but I'm diagnosed, but I don't care. I don't need a label to tell me who I am. So, I have this going on, but after it's been about 17 years now that I've lived here, I can understand some German, and talking with my neighbours here, they insist on talking German. I talk English, and hey, we all understand each other.
It works. It works. I have some people where I have that relationship with as well, where I, for some reason, switch over to English when I can't handle the German, and then they stay in German, and that's fine. It's like the most important thing is that you understand each other, and that's it.
Oh, yeah, but our conversation with the neighbours is about chickens or living, because I'm now living in a Dorf. I've moved away from the cities,
Right.
and talking about Dorf life. So, and parties and meeting up with the locals and burning things and sitting around and drinking beer.
Yeah. So what more do you just need enough to get by. I mean, that's pretty good. So you came here for love. It didn't work out, right?
Basically, it didn't work out after about 3.5 years with that girl. And then 2-3 years later, she died of cancer, unfortunately.
Okay.
But back then, after it didn't work out, I developed an idea of becoming a model in Germany. And I could not find an agency to represent me.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, who can be the best model agency for me in Germany? Now, for those of you that don't know me, perhaps if you look me up, you'll understand with my natural good looks and working for an agency in London called Ugly Models, I'm not your conventional looking model. I'm not tall, dark and handsome, but I am me. And somehow I get work, playing a drug addict or playing a dodgy looking guy, or playing a pirate, or just someone like Mr. Bean. And that's how I get my work. Now, I came to Germany, couldn't find work, and this guy told me that perhaps if you can't find work, you have to make your own work. And so I thought, well, what can I do that's good, that I know that involves some sort of English, because my German was shit at the time, still is. Yeah. And I thought, well, I'm good at standing in front of the camera and getting paid for it. Now, how can I do that? Because I can't do that constantly, because I can only work 1 or 2 times a year in this business. So therefore, how do I get people to maybe work for me? And then I hit on the idea, why don't I start my own agency?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what I did. So I started an agency called Misfit Models, and I run it basically mostly on my own with some help from people with German translation and numbers. And I have over 600 models now on my books, be it short, fat, big, tall, black, white, albino, disabled, abled, you name it. I have something that's different from the norm.
Yeah, that's amazing. 600. You grew from just one being representing yourself into a model agency with a full portfolio of hundreds of models.
Yeah, about 11 years ago, I launched the agency.
Okay. So, I mean, what was the why did you do that instead of heading back where you knew maybe you could get back with ugly models or get back into something that that life that you know? What made you stay in Germany?
Because London, where I'm from, is basically, I think, is greedy and violent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a place to live in a big city paying a lot of rent. And when you're paying a lot of rent, the standard of living in the UK is not very good if you don't have much money.
Right.
And the violence there's a lot of robberies, stabbings, and God knows what. It's not a good place to live. Right. But when you come to Germany, what you pay and what you get back in the day, this was in Berlin when I first arrived, it was actually quite amicable. And, you could walk down the street in safety. Okay, things have changed now. Berlin's got more greedier with real estate and things.
Yeah.
But it's still affordable to live here, and cost of living is, compared to the UK, is a lot better, and your money goes further, and you can still socialise, have money left over to socialise instead of just working and working and working just to pay the next bill, which you have to do in the UK.
So it sounds like it was just a logical decision for you to go make a go at it here and just trust in your abilities and make use of a talent that you identified as having.
Yeah, well, it does happen that way because, like I said earlier, I couldn't find an agency that could represent my look. So I saw a hole in the market and took it, basically. And now I'm one of the leading agencies here in Germany for character models when you need something different. Yes, there's always these pretty 20-something-year-old girls agencies out there, competition, but I don't need 20-something-year-old pretty girls. I get more excited with someone with a broken nose that looks like they can drive a truck, or, as they call them here, rockers, Hell's Angels-looking guys and all that, or builder-looking guys, Bowerman and all that. So that's what I get more excited because I know I can sell them sort of people.
Yeah. Are there a lot of foreigners in your agency, or is it kind of a mixture of Germans and foreigners and whoever it is that fits?
When I first started off the agency, I did advertise on Craigslist, so they got a lot of foreigners and a lot of Americans and stuff. But the problem with the foreigners they tend to stay maybe 2 years and then they go home.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And sometimes they need German speakers as well. So it's hard to find someone sometimes that looks completely different and who's foreign looking, and then are they going to stay?
Yeah.
Especially in Berlin. Berlin's such a transient expat community that it's not worth talking to anybody unless they've been here longer than 2 years, I find.
Right.
And once they've been here 2 years, they're here for the long run. Mummy and daddy's money's probably run out. They've got to make a survival of it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think after 2 years, you already also know as a foreigner, okay, if I say now after 2 years I want to stay here, I know what it entails. So you can also trust, okay, that they're probably going to stay here if they've made that decision after 2 years. I think
yeah. And they're not got their homesickness and missing home and things. Yeah. They're making a go of it here. Germany has its problems. It has its good points. It has its bad points. I'm reading a lot on expat forums. Like, people can't find friendships with Germans, but you can. You can find friendship with Germans if you make the effort and hang out with them. And there's a lot of Germans that want to be friendly with you to practice their English or whatever language you speak. And it works out. It's a win-win situation. For instance, back in 2008, when I lived in Berlin, I started up a language group, a tandem language group in a bar. Okay. And that's basically still running 15 years later. I've handed it over to other people. I ran it for the first 5 years and used to advertise for Germans and expats to come along to hopefully talk some German and English together. But it just turned into basically a social group where people just all talk in English. The Germans practice their English, and everyone gets drunk and becomes friends.
That's amazing. And that's the kind of thing that foreigners do need to seek out, is that those kinds of events and things. It is.
Yeah, just as some local German person that is open to talking to them, maybe in English or whatever other language it is, it's hard.
Yeah. I think also, just to come back to one thing that I like that you said about making friends is that there are often German people who want to make friends with foreigners for whatever reason. And that's something that's come up on the podcast as well. I've often said, like, find those people, because there are Germans who are very excited to be friends with international people because of learning language or experiencing other cultures and stuff. They are out there. You just need to go and find them, basically.
That's what the website meetups for, basically. You can find a German to learn photography with, in the local area, or go on hikes, or sit in a bar and drink beer and talk about whatever you want, find a friend. I've had marriages come out of my old meetups and things, and kids have been born from it. And I keep telling them, joking, you had the baby, call it Belle.
I had something to do with that.
yeah, just call it Belle. But they just laugh and whatever. They'd probably call it Katya or something caramel.
Something very, very obscenely German.
Or David, or Sebastian. Sebastian is such a popular word here in Germany.
It really is. Yeah. It really is, Sebastian, yeah. To get back to Misfit Models and you starting out in the beginning there, you mentioned, I think you said that you had people to translate the Germans, because there's a lot of bureaucracy with something like starting a new company. Is that something that maybe put you off in the beginning, or was it not a big problem?
It was a huge problem because, again, I started it back in Berlin, and I'm now living in a Dorf just outside Hamburg. But starting off the agency in Berlin, you have to jump through all sorts of legal bureaucracy bullshit and find out, is it going to be a GmbH or a GmbH this or whatever?
Yeah.
And then you've got to get funding. Now, back then, I was on the job centre money, and I remember going to the job centre with a friend of mine who was translating for me and helping me. And basically, we said to him, I want to start an agency like Ugly Models in London. And the civil servant was probably dreaming about their next bloody holiday and all that. And well, come on, when you're talking to these civil servants, they're not 100% committed to their work. They don't give a fuck. They're just going from one sick day or holiday to the next.
Right.
They're off sick. Well, then give up work and give it to someone who does want to work. But they're protected civil servants. Don't get me ranting about civil bloody servants, especially in this country. Anyway, so this bloody civil servant job centre woman said to me, it's you can't start an agency with ugly models. You will fail. You've got to have good-looking models. And I just looked at it's worked in London, in the UK, for the last 50 years. It can work here if it's done right. And they referred me to some course where you got to learn to write your CV. And I unfortunately had run-ins with the person when he wants me to write a CV. And I said to him, I don't have a CV, but I have a showreel. What's a showreel? I said, well, it's like a portfolio and shows you what I do. Look, no, you've got to have a CV. Well, if people want to give me a job, they will give me a job, or they will not give me a job. I have a reputation, and it works like that in my business.
Yeah.
It might work for you in this business, but we need you to do a CV. Again, because you're thinking outside the box of what this person's trained to teach you, they cannot get their head around it. It's like a German builder. If the line's not straight, on the wall, it fucks them.
It's so true. I always think of it like a computer program. A computer program knows that, like, if this is the input, this is the output, and it's the same with Beamte. And I think that's the problem, is like when there's anything that doesn't fit in a set of guidelines or their rule books or whatever it is, it's really difficult for them to cope with that. So I can only imagine what this pitch must have done to their brains. And I love the fact that an Beamte or a civil servant could have stopped this whole thing just by simply not approving it because they didn't understand the concept. That is kind of mind-blowing as well.
It's totally mind-blowing. It's like a friend of mine, they helped me write my business plan, propose all this to the job centre to get funding. And they kept wanting to give me more paperwork, telling me what's my estimated amount of earnings that I'm going to be earning. And I don't know what my earnings are until the next phone call that I've successfully landed a job. Then I know what my earnings are. It's up and down. It's like you might have a run of great work. You might have a quiet period, which we currently have at every beginning of the year in the film business in Germany because it's too cold to film outside and the light is shit. So when it gets warmer, there's more filming until the end of the year. Yeah. So going back to, so I had to convince the people at the job centre, and my friend, he helped me write a CV. Now, he was a business manager, and he lived in New York, which was a friend of my, another friend that lived here. It was her husband. And he wrote me this business plan, blah, 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 and I submitted it at the job centre, and there was this guy there, I won't mention names, that was very impressed, and she liked to impress people that he could speak English. So he took one look at me and thought, oh, God, what the fuck's this? We'll open an agency and sell ugly models. Oh, God, and he gets it all the time. At one of the courses, we sat there and there was one woman that said, like, what's your business plan? Oh, I'm going to sell jigsaw puzzles and frame them. And he just looked at her and said in German, I'll talk to you after this about that. And i.e. meaning like, you ain't got no fucking chance. But she didn't know that. Yeah. And then they said to me, So this guy was very impressed and asked me, who wrote my business plan? I said, well, I didn't write it. My friend did. And who is your friend? I have a friend. He lives in New York. He's a business manager. You have friends in New York? Yeah, from London. I have friends all over the fucking world, and in Germany and in England, and it's not just a German thing that I'm doing here. Oh, wow. How do you talk to him? Through Skype. We have this thing this day called video calling. You call people every day, and it costs you nothing to talk to someone in another country. So he just thought that I was mad. And anyway, so then he wanted to go on about, I need a company car. And how much stock would I need, and how much would I need to invest in my stock? And I thought, whoa, hold on a minute. Stock. Yeah. I'm dealing with models here, so therefore I only need an address book, a contact phone number book. So it won't cost me nothing to keep them. Oh, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. And then he said, oh, and you need a car to go around to see your clients and impress them. I said, well, that's not going to happen. He's like, what do you mean like that? I said, I don't have a car licence. What do you mean you don't have a car licence? I ride everywhere by motorbike, and at the moment, I have a Simpson Schweibel. One of those corrugated DDR things that's all trendy at the moment with the hipsters. I had one of those because it was only like 40 euros a year to insure the number plate, and I was just chugging around Berlin on that because it was better than the U-Bahn. And he thought I was completely and utterly crazy, but he wasn't listening to me. So in the end, I just gave up with him and just like, yeah. I will put balloons outside my business premises. Yeah, make it look good with balloons like you keep recommending.
Sure, buddy. I'll do that. Yeah.
And then I got a contract from a TV company to make a documentary show about me, like a reality show. And they wanted to give me basically an assistant, 6 months rent if I do all this and sign this contract. Showed that to the job centre guy. He was like, where did you get that from? Yeah, he was very like, I go, wow, this is some serious money. I go, I'm telling you, this is why I work in TV and media. I can't work at Aldi, stocking shelves and everything. It's not me. Yeah. I'll end up punching the fucking manager,
or a customer.
Yeah, or a customer, yeah. Where's my quark? Oh, it's over there. Where? Whatever, fuck it. Anyway, so that's, my dealings with bureaucracy and everything. And, it's just a nightmare. But eventually I got away from the job centre and I'm self-sufficient these days. So, I'm still selling so-called ugly models, but rebranded under the word Misfit Models. It's like what you were saying, like earlier, they have to put it all in a box and everything. Well, they can't put my models in a box. That's why they're called misfits, you fuckers. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's incredible that you found that niche in the market and were able to stick out the bureaucracy and get to the point where you've made a success of it. I think that's an incredible story.
We have to, because I've got nothing to go back to, you know. I've got no family left alive in the UK. The ones that are alive, I don't want to talk to because they're a pain in the fucking arse and they just drag you down. And you don't need that sort of drama around you. And I need to move forward and do something. And that's what I've basically done for the last 12 odd years.
Yeah, amazing. And I'll put the details to the website also in the show notes and can also to you, so that people can go and have a look at what you do and see what you're up to.
Also, I am on social media where you can see what models have done and everything. You know, Facebook, Instagram, and not so much TikTok because that's just there unless you like dancing around a pole. But yeah, TikTok. I do have TikTok, flip-flop, whatever. There'll be another one around in 6 months. So,
there will, won't there?
There'll be another social
whatever's
media.
trendy. Speaking of trendy, something that you said to me when we spoke a few weeks ago, which I found quite interesting, is you mentioned that the current trend towards diversity. So that's obviously gonna help a business like you, right? Some kind of trend. Do you think it's just a trend, or is there a genuine want to represent all kinds of people? Like, how do you see this?
How do I see it? It's just another fashion trend. It's like the other day I saw a sign. I've just put it up on Instagram, and it's a picture of 3 sheep. One of them's black, and it says black sheep. The other one's white, and it says white sheep. Then the other one's just a squiggle, multicolored, and it says whatever. So, you know, with diversity and inclusion, it's a new trend to put labels on people or hashtags. And the way I see it, putting hashtags on people, label them, it's free publicity for you. It's a good way for you to get your thing out there and advertise. But there's a lot of people currently in Germany that are just employing people, I think, personally, just for the free publicity to show how inclusive they are. And it's just there for show. For instance, over the years, there's always been, hey, there's a fashion show down the catwalk. Let's get a wheelchair model, put them down the catwalk. And they do that. And it's great for the model to do that, experience the catwalk and everything. And then they hashtag it and advertise it. Hey, we're great, we're inclusive. We put this person down the catwalk in a wheelchair to give them an opportunity. Yeah, it's great. But where are they after that? That person's gone. And then it'd be another fashion model and everything. And how much have they paid that model? Oh, they don't have much money to pay these people and everything. And they're trying to get something for nothing, a lot of these fashion, unfortunate people. You know, I don't really deal in fashion these days with these people because they're always trying it on like, oh, it's an editorial or it's a test shoot for something better, but we've got no money to pay anyone. So how do you pay your rent?
How are you paying for all that stuff? Yeah.
That is like one of them rings up and says, oh, we want this person, we want this, but we've got no money. And it'd be great because we're doing this for charity or whatever and all this. And I'm like, well, how much are you paying the cameraman? And there's an awkward silence on the phone. They're probably going, bastard, and talking about me behind my back. Again, they're paying a cameraman, they're paying a director. The producer's trying to save money, right? So that they get paid more because they get a percentage of the money. And the more they save, the more money goes in the producer's pocket. So, of course, they're going to say they've got no money to pay you. And that's where I come in and like, I know the rates, I know the pitfalls, and it's just like, sorry, I have these models. Unless you're paying them a reasonable amount, then that's okay with it, you know. And I get, obviously, every time a model gets paid here, I get a percentage of that money and basically 20% off the fee. And that's the industry standard. And the more money I can get the model, obviously, the more money I get paid. So that's how my business works. I'm not here to give away models that are albino or in a wheelchair or something different looking just because somebody wants to make a great video just to help them get other work in the future.
Yeah. And I find it interesting what you said about just so that they can hashtag things. I think it's a lot about hashtag and for show, and that is a big thing. So the way you see it as a trend, most trends then pass by. Do you think that the diversity trend is going to die down, and then what does it look like?
Yeah, the diversity, I think it's going to die down. It's going to go back to normal. Every commercial at the moment's got a person of colour in that commercial at the moment, and they're employing people for that to show how diverse and everything, because maybe it's something to do with the history of this country to show that they're not bad people no more. It's a guilt thing. I don't know. It's just something they do here. Whereas in the UK, they have all sorts of shapes and colours of people in mainstream and media, in advertisement and things, and it works there. Now, if this fashion does die away and everything, yes, it might leave me, not so much work and everything, but I will still be doing my version of inclusion and diversity by employing everybody as long as they can do the job. If they can't do the job and they happen to be in a wheelchair, they're not going to do it. It's nothing to do with inclusion and thingy. It's can they do the job within their limits? And if they can, then they can. If they can't, they can't. And are they happy to do the work is another thing.
Yeah. So that really got me to thinking when you were saying that, because I think that is a very good point. And my hope is, of course, that it becomes a genuine thing that company. But I mean, whenever you're talking about corporations and companies, you're always talking about whatever looks good, they're going to do that as long as it looks good for, and then that's that. So I guess that's what you're dealing with.
Well, these corporations, they go on these courses, basically, not courses, what they call them, conferences for a jolly. And they've invited me on these conferences to lecture me on how to be more diverse and inclusive, when I come from South London, where I grew up, surrounded by Afro-Caribbean people, African people, Indian people, Chinese people, whatever, because the UK has had a lot of colonies and people settling into the UK after the colonies have left the UK, the United, or whatever, Commonwealth, that's the word I'm looking for, yeah. But they've invited me to these conferences and everything, and they want to tell me how to be more inclusive and to employ people that might be different and everything. And it's just like, what? Why do I need to go to these? And then they say, oh, it's online, but you've got to pay €300 to join it. Huh? €300? And this is a major sponsored event by a big media house, let's just say. And it's sponsored by them, and then I've still got to pay for it, and it's online. So there's no catering, there's no costs involved, really. So who's making the money there?
Yeah.
It's a scam. It's another fucking scam.
Yeah. But now, Del, with you being from the UK, you're obviously not a German citizen, I guess. You're still a British citizen?
Yeah.
Has Brexit had any impact on you?
Brexit, that fucking thing, voted by loads of people that are misinformed, and the people that were informed couldn't get out of bed to vote for Brexit. Yeah, Brexit fucked things up for me here because I had to apply for residency here like all the Americans do and everybody else that's not from Europe.
Yeah.
And they told me that I have to wait until it's all been sorted out and done, and it was sorted out. And then I thought that was the end of it because nobody contacted me. And then I went to leave the country last October to go back to London for a quick visit. And I was stopped by the police customs, or whatever you call them, the police person there at the airport, saying, like, I don't have an ID card. I'm like, well, no, I have a passport. No, you need an ID now because of Brexit. Well, no one told me that. Oh, you can't leave the country. I'm like, but I have a British passport. I'm leaving. Yeah, but you can't come back then. I go, okay, I can't come back. But can I come back on a tourist visa? Yeah. Well, then, okay, then maybe I can do that then, right? And then I'll have to go down the Auslander Bureau and register and tell them that I've been living here for the last 16 years and running a company and paying taxes here. So you're telling me I can't come back? Okay, let's see what happens. So, in the airport lounge, me and my girlfriend, she was helping me. We run the Auslander Bureau, and we got an appointment a week later after I arrived back. And I arrived back in Germany and went through the Zoll customs, whatever it is called here in Germany. And I said to the guy, here's my passport. He looked at my passport. Purpose of your visit? I'm like, I live here. And he goes, oh, you don't have an ID? I go, no, but I have an appointment next week at the Auslander Bureau. He's like, okay, stamp in. That's
Germany.
because I got the right one. Whereas when leaving, I had a job's worth that was very aggressive and needed to assert their authority because they have a uniform. And it's just like, please, whatever. So went to the Auslander Bureau, proved that I lived here, Basically, I don't know what they did. If they looked up Google or my name or whatever, they just gave me a thing, come back in a month or two time, and here's your ID card. No problems.
Finished.
But that's bloody Brexit for you.
Yeah, it's it's like the worst combination possible of Brexit and German bureaucracy. It's like a killer combination.
Oh, it is.
Del, so if listeners are interested, if they want to get hold of you, but also if they're interested, let's say, hypothetically speaking, maybe someone thinks that they want to be a Misfit model. What do they need to do to get in touch? How do they go about it?
Full details are on my website under apply or something. I can't remember where it says on it, but you scroll down on the first page, you can see it. Unfortunately, it's written in German because we are in Germany. But basically what you need to do is send in some pictures and a short video saying why you want to be a Misfit model, why you fit. You can do that video in German or English, whatever you prefer, because I can understand some German, not so good, but I can see how that person holds themselves in the camera and everything. And what I'm looking for is basically good, memorable faces and confidence. The person's got to be happy and confident. There's no point in being shy in this business. You won't last if you're shy.
Okay. Cool. Well, get in touch with Del, even if you just want to chat with him. All the links are in the show note. Del, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Teletubby bye-byes and all that for everybody else.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Remember, the next episode in 2 weeks' time. I'll speak to you then. Auf Wiederhören.